So if you're watching this, you are, well, hello, my name is Wes.
We're professionals.
All right, so you click that video description. Matt, they want to learn about AI, or more specifically, AI for church being overhyped.
Yes, overhyped. I'm convinced that it's overhyped.
Yes.
I think that like the tech industry has overhyped AI simply because these AI companies want their valuation to be very high. And that's really all it is.
Well, on a completely unrelated note, I think OpenAI was getting ready to go official public. Yeah. So that's part of the reason why a lot of these companies are wanting to hype everything up. And I see a lot of hype, specifically people talking about using AI to write sermons.
Yes.
We are way beyond that. Using AI to just completely write your sermons, that's ridiculous. The pastor should never do that. Please don't.
Ever.
If you do that, bad things will happen. You can trust me. But you can use AI for other things.
Lots of other things. We've actually we did a whole live stream, a webinar around like how to use specifically just ChatGPT for sermon prep and all the other little ancillary things around sermon creating.
Yes.
Not sermon writing itself.
Yeah.
Because like Wes was saying, AI written sermons have no place in the pulpit. We just need to declare that.
That is our hill we're going to die on today. Is that if you have AI write your sermons,
it's not Holy Spirit inspired, it's Silicon Valley inspired, and that's not right.
But let's talk about AI, because we're moved past that. We're not talking about the ethics and everything, but just talking about using it as a tool.
Yes.
And as a tool that we can use in our ministry to communicate with our church, manage all the things and stuff. And we were talking about a tool that we use all the time here at ChurchTrac that just came out with a bunch of AI stuff. And I think this is a good one to start out with.
Canva. We love Canva. We've done a couple of webinars on Canva as well. Like we're going to have a whole bunch of links in the description for this.
Yes, we are.
We have 2 videos we've done on using Canva for churches. We did a Canva for Churches webinar, which was just an introduction to Canva and like what's there and how to use it and how to get an account, because they give Canva the pro subscription to nonprofits for free. That's one of the biggest reasons why we promote Canva to churches.
Now to slow you down, what is Canva for those out there that are like, I don't even know what he's talking about?
I guess we got to back it up a little bit. So Canva, to put it very simply, is Photoshop for dummies. Now, I don't use it as a pejorative because I'm one of the dummies. I can't use Photoshop. I'm not like skilled and experienced enough in Adobe software to use Photoshop. But Canva, I can whip up some really great looking stuff in Canva because it's very simple. It's more of like just a visual media platform that allows you to create visual media very easily. It looks great.
And in churches, we're creating so many different types of visual media, whether it's like your bulletin in church, you're doing slides, announcement slides, things like that, emails. I mean, the list goes on.
Absolutely.
So show me some of these things, because Canva has been talking about AI, I feel like, for a while now, and they've just come out with a bunch of stuff. So what are some of these cool things that church leaders can use?
They've had a few of these tools for a little while. They just, as of like we're recording this video, just yesterday, launched some new AI tools within the program. So in your Canva account, one thing that I love most, and they have a page, it's just canva.com/magic that you can go to read all about all these new updates. So if you want that overview, you can definitely go there. But from the main account, what's really cool is they already have everything laid out for you to just jump right on into and start trying. So first of all, I'm just thinking of like which of these features would probably benefit in church leaders the most, and what like church leaders would probably use the most.
Yeah.
One of them is what they call magic design. So like if you want to get started fast with like a sermon slide or a series of sermon slides, you can just type in the topic of the sermon and just say sermon slides, and it'll just like create templates for you. That's what's really cool, because like Canva before now would just provide templates that other creators had already made. Yeah, and you could pick a template that looked nice and then just make whatever changes you wanted.
Can you show me?
Well, yes. Okay. So
I got it. Seeing is believing here.
All right. So I'll scroll up under Meet Magic Studio. I'll say, what's a good sermon topic? What is something that you've been studying at your church lately?
Creation.
Creation. All right. So creation from Genesis account, or like from the book of Genesis.
Okay.
and just say, it would be great if I could type, and just say sermon slides or something like that, and hit enter. And what's nuts, what's really amazing about what Canva is doing with AI is they're generating templates like through AI. It's generative AI.
And these aren't templates like someone just created. These are templates like it's creating on the fly.
Yes. So it's just spat out these templates to use as your sermon slides. So already it has the slides already created.
Dude, that's unreal.
With the topics and the content. Obviously, you would need to take it and edit it and make it yours. But instead of taking a template that had certain elements that looked nice to you and then having to redo the whole thing to make it yours, this already has 50% of the work done for you.
That's time.
It already has all the images that would be relevant for the most part.
Yeah.
It has great fonts. It has everything laid out right. It's amazing. So that's just one thing that Canva has added recently to their tool bag for like their AI tools that they're offering users now.
Okay.
Another thing that I think is pretty cool is Magic Switch. Now, they've had resize for a while.
Is that like a video game system?
No, Nintendo is not involved in Canva. But for their Magic Switch, what they used to do is they used to have a feature called resize, which allowed you to take whatever you had just created and then fit it to a different like aspect ratio or different dimensions is the word I'm looking for.
but the process of it is like, oh man, everything gets thrown off and you have to like kind of redo it again in that size.
So like you could take your sermon title slide and then reshape it and resize it for a Facebook post and a Twitter post and an Instagram post, because all of these have different dimensions.
Yeah.
Well, Magic Design or Magic Switch is an improvement on resize. So instead of just giving you what you just created with a different dimension, it'll even rearrange everything for you into a completely different design.
Okay.
So you can take like this whole presentation you've made for your sermon and then put it into a bulletin. And it'll just whoosh, and put it into that bulletin in that format for you.
Well, there you go.
So that work is done. You've already done all the work already to like have the content. It then just formats it for you.
Okay.
So you have that new platform or that new medium to share that information.
And this is all just part of their new AI.
Yes.
I use AI in quotes because I feel like anything and everything is called AI now because it's a buzzword.
And there's a couple of other really cool things like Magic Write and Brand Voice, which is actually something that you and I need to check out.
I was literally just about to say like, hey, we need to take our company's brand voice, put it in here, and then...
Yeah, because like as we're recording this, we haven't done this yet. This is only a day or two old. But yeah, it'll write for you. Just like ChatGPT, like that's integrated into Canva as well, the process of generating text. But you can instruct Canva on what your brand voice is. Therefore, as it produces that text, it matches that tone.
Yeah.
So it gives you the exact kind of text you're looking for. So that, again, 50% of the work is done.
Yes. And that's what I feel like AI is all about, is it's a tool that does a lot of the work for you and gives you a really good start. And then from there, you can take it and finish it and just save you a lot of time.
Yeah.
I love that.
Those are the big things that stand out to me, at least, looking through the AI tools that Canva offers that I think would benefit church leaders and pastors and churches in general the most.
Okay.
It's, again, to reiterate, these are tools to make your job easier. Just like ChurchTrac. Yeah. We help come alongside you in the work that you're doing. We don't replace the work of ministry. Yeah. But we streamline all that to make it easier so that you save time so you can focus more on the actual work of ministry.
Yes. All right, so Canva, that was a good one, and we're going to have to get on that brand voice thing like ASAP.
Yes, absolutely.
That's cool. So I was, because I've been watching some of these videos in ChatGPT just because we use it a lot here for creating different things to speed up the process between writing in our user guide and our blog and sending out emails and stuff. It's a great tool that helps, I guess, go alongside with just creating content that sounds great and actually is cohesive. And so I was looking at ChatGPT just thinking, okay, what are some real world ways that church leaders can use ChatGPT beyond the whole doing sermon outline to help you with your sermon prep, but just some other cool things. And so here's some things I came up with that I thought were pretty neat. So let me crank up the old ChatGPTs here.
Crank it up. Get it going.
It's AK just going to it. Yeah. So the first one I have here is so biblical research.
Yes.
So biblical research. And so let's say I'm doing a sermon on the miracle of Jesus turning water into wine. And I am just trying to research this to really get a better understanding. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that into ChatGPT, paste it in there. Boom. All right, so I'm doing a sermon on the miracle of Jesus turning water into wine. Can you give me some historical context about the importance of it?
Whoa. Okay. Cool.
Here's what it's doing. Look at this. Cultural importance of weddings. Wine as symbolism.
Yeah.
And it goes through and talks about wine holds rich symbolic significance in Jewish tradition. First public miracle. The role of Mary in this. The quality of the wine. Like, it's really diving deep into this.
Yeah, it is.
And this is stuff that, as a pastor, you have to spend a lot of time researching all these things. You're probably using multiple commentaries, maybe other books you found on this. You're doing a lot of Googling. This is saving me tremendous amount of time.
It's pulling all of those things into one place for you.
Yeah, because then from here I can say, well, now I want to look specifically at the cultural importance of weddings, Google that, or I can put it back into ChatGPT and then take that a next step.
Perfect.
So really great tool. Another one I found here, just kind of going through this. Okay, you're going to really like this one. So using ChatGPT to simplify a theological concept.
Okay.
So let me give you an example. Let me paste this one in here. How would I describe the concept of sanctification to a group of high school boys?
Okay.
So let's see what the GPTs tell me. So it's thinking. And by the way, I'm using GPT-4, but that's a tongue twister. GPT 3.5, which is the lesser version of it, is still going to basically give you the same thing.
And that's the free version, right?
Yeah,
that's what I use. I've never felt compelled to pay for ChatGPT, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the only reason I pay for it is because of the speed. But all right, so describing a concept of sanctification to a group of high school boys. Here it goes. This is actually pretty funny. Hey guys, have you ever played a video game where the character levels up and becomes stronger, better, and more skilled? Or maybe you've watched a superhero movie where the hero goes through a journey to become the best version of themselves. Well, in the Christian life, there's something similar to this called sanctification. And then it goes through and talks about that. Now, obviously, this is kind of cheesy, and if you're realistically just grabbing this and reading this off to high school boys, they're going to make fun of you when probably not in front of your face. Maybe in front of your face if they're that savage.
They're kind of savage these days.
Yeah, they are actually. Yeah, so they will make fun of you in front of your face. But if taking some of these concepts and using them in actual real conversation, that's a really good way
that's pretty
to use
rad.
it.
I mean, I remember when we were doing that original using ChatGPT for churches video months ago. I mean, I was blown away just in the fact that it could take
We just had a label printer print something over there.
We were testing things earlier and someone's still connected to that one. I love it. But we were using ChatGPT to like produce a lot of content around sermons. Like you could feed your sermon into it and it would spit out summaries.
Yes.
Or it would spit out like a tweet or some like a series of things like that.
That's literally what I'm about to talk about.
Yeah, and you could then like use it to translate Greek. So like you could take the original biblical languages and say, hey, please give this to me in English, so it would give you something more accurate.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And you could use it for like all those ancillary things. Now you're saying for like actual deeper study, this is a really great tool.
Now, full disclaimer, always go back and put it up against the Word of God and compare it to the Word of God and things it says, because
and not even just the Word of God, but like still crack open a commentary and make sure that this is legit and accurate.
But it is getting better and better. I remember when I first started using this tool, it would just give you random Bible verses that were not the Bible verse. It should have just said the Book of Steve, chapter 4, because it wasn't real.
Like, did you ever try out Bard?
Yes.
Google thing. That was even worse than ChatGPT when it was first starting in terms of just things that were very inaccurate.
Yeah.
So, it's gotten better though, and I'll talk about Bard when you're done with this.
Okay. So I want to talk about so you have your sermon, and maybe as a pastor you have your entire sermon written out, or your whole entire outline for your sermon written out. One thing I thought was really cool about this is, so I can take a sermon. So here's a sermon I just pulled from Desiring God called Why We Sing About the Blood.
Right. Okay.
And what I want to do do is I'm just going to copy and paste this sermon real fast. So go through here. It's a lot of text. Can I speed through this?
You can do it.
I'm speeding through it.
Come on, Mac. We believe in you.
It's going slower than usual. So as you can see, I'm putting a lot of text into this thing right now. So this is literally like the whole sermon, or at least pretty much all of it. So I've almost got it, and we are almost.
Goodness.
This is wild. This is okay.
This is an actual sermon, or this is an article?
This is an actual sermon. Okay. So I got the sermon. I just copied it. Now I'm going to go to ChatGPT, and I'm going to open up a new chat real fast, and I'm just going to say, I want you to give me a 100-word captivating summary.
So you added like a little qualifier to what you want the output to be.
Always be using things like captivating summary of my sermon that I can then post in the description of my podcast.
Perfect. Okay.
So my church's podcast, and now watch, Control Paste. The whole entire thing I just posted in there. So it just in a couple seconds, it's already read it all. This entire sermon.
That's what's nuts.
And then it's giving me a sermon summary. Why do Christians frequently sing about Jesus' blood? It seems like an odd topic to emphasize. In our worship, we often celebrate blah, blah, blah. And it just gave me a 100-word summary that I can then, obviously, you want to proofread these things before you put them on something and put your name on it. But think about how much time it would have taken me as a church leader to really tweeze out all those things of the sermon and then make a really compelling description to put in the podcast summary.
And you can even go further and be like, now reword that for a tweet.
And that's exactly the power of this, is because a lot of times in church, we're wanting to share with people in multiple mediums.
Yes.
And having to share on multiple mediums means having to use a lot of brain power to reframe all these things, because all those mediums have different parameters.
Different parameters, but also like it's a different community that you're reaching on that platform. And so you have to know what speaks to that community.
Yes. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it to do a tweet. So I want to do, or I guess send a tweet. Is it still a tweet or an X? I don't even know anymore. I want to send a tweet. It still
says Twitter at the top of the app.
So I guess we'll call it Twitter still. So I want to send a tweet promoting this sermon. Write for me a really captivating. Now I'm saying really captivating instead of just captivating.
And the reason he's adding that little qualifier is because what we've learned is that the output of these tools like ChatGPT depends largely on what you tell it you want.
Yeah.
So the more information you give, or the more specific commands you enter as you ask it for output, the better and more accurate, or at least the closer it will give you to what you're actually looking for.
Yeah. So enter, return, and now it's thinking, and now, ever wondered why we sing about Jesus' blood so often? And then it uses an emoji, which I thought was hilarious. Dive deep into the profound significance of our latest sermon, blah, blah, blah. So that's really amazing that it did that. But then I can say, now give me a Facebook post for this, but be a little more serious. Boom. Now it's generating that. Exploring there you go. And so now I've got my Facebook post. And this is just so great, because if we're wanting to take the time to do this and to publicize last week's sermon, or publicize just really anything in our church, that's a lot of brain power and a lot of time it takes to do that. Whereas we can just use a tool like this to really speed up that whole process.
And this will improve the content your church is putting out. Because like with social media, in the past, what I have done, I have to confess this, and what I've seen a lot of other churches do,
time,
and like their communications director will do, is like they would come up with a really cool tweet for that sermon or for whatever they're putting out, and then just copy and paste that for all the social media platforms. Because Twitter had the lowest like character count limit.
Yeah.
So they would just copy and paste, but what works on Twitter doesn't work on Facebook, doesn't work on Instagram.
No, you got to have a different approach for each one. All right, now we have time for a couple more.
Yes.
All right. I know I just drank my coffee, and so now it's hitting me, and I'm like getting real fast.
Let's go.
All right, so here's one. Now this one can get creepy if you go too far with it. But I think this is a really good tool to use, and I've actually used this. And it comes down to when you're wanting to reply to emails or necessarily reword emails is really what I'm trying to say. So I have an email here that I have not sent yet. This is just a fake email. Janice is not a real person, or at least Janice is a real person, but there are many Janices.
Yes.
Hi, Janice. I'm available. So Janice, long story short, I'm using this scenario where Janice is a person that attends my church, and she is very like militant and wanting to be able to do marital counseling with me as a pastor, but she doesn't even really go to our church, and she's like wanting me to go completely out of my way, that are out of my parameters to be able to do the counseling, and I'm trying to be nice with her. And so the original email I was going to write is to say, I'm available to perform marital counseling sessions for you and your husband. That being said, your requests of my time are unreasonable, and you seem to take more than you give to our church. Not to mention, but that you're not even a member. And you know what? I'm just going to leave these typos here because it doesn't care. ChatGPT is smart like that. Can we find a happy medium that is fair for both of us? So what I want to do is I'm going to tell ChatGPT, reword the following email in a way that is much nicer, and give Janice options for either having a counseling session, let's say on Tuesday at 5 p.m. or Thursday at 6 p.m. Now, let's see what ChatGPT does. So it took this email, an email that I should never send because that is not a very good email to send, and it's giving her some options. Dear Janice, I hope this message finds you well. I would like to offer my support and guidance through marital counseling sessions, both for you and your husband. Understanding the commitments and responsibilities we all have, I'd like to propose 2 time slots that may work for our session, Tuesday at 5 or Thursday at 6. Please let me know which of these times would be most convenient for you. I'm here to help and look forward to collaboration in this journey.
Boom.
And I wouldn't use that exact, but I'd use it pretty close.
Sure, yeah. I mean, again, this is content that you can take. It's mostly just you're offloading the work onto these tools so that you can then save more time. And you can always just take what the output is, make a few tweaks to make it really perfect, and then send it off and move on, and not have to like spend all that time stressing about it and trying to think. Just ask this tool that's freely available to you to do it, and then take what it does and make it a little better and move on.
All right, now that one was a little more on the serious side and stuff. This one's really fun. Church announcements.
Church announcements.
So using ChatGPT for church announcements. So let's say I'm going to paste in the idea I already made earlier, but I need to get more volunteers for our children's ministry. Can you write me a clever script for a 2-minute announcement I will be giving at our church? ? Okay, so now I'm going to hit enter.
Okay.
It's thinking. As you drink your coffee, it's almost done. Certainly. This is kind of, look at this. It's saying with enthusiastic tone.
With an enthusiastic.
You step up to the mic. Oh my gosh. This is kind of out of hand. This is out of control, Matt. Okay. Good morning, church family. You know our little ones have a special talent. They can turn a quiet room into a roaring adventure. Oh, I got to stop because it's still going. Blank paper into a masterpiece in the ordinary. So imagine being part of their world. A world where faith grows not in the listening, but in the coloring, playing, singing, and laughing. Remember the joy of hearing about David and Goliath the first time, or the excitement of building Noah's Ark out of the building blocks? Well, you, dear church family, you have the chance to be a part of these magical moments for our young ones. And then it goes through. And so this is an entire script that it's generated for me to be able to tell our church in an announcement. Just like that. And perfect. I could tell, could you give me another one? Give me another one. And then it'll go and it'll give me another one. And so it's just kind of wild to think that like gone are the days of like really having to think through, that sounds wrong saying it because it's like gone are the days of having to think. But no, gone are the days of having to spend a bunch of time to do something when you can leverage something that's already there for you to use. It's kind of like why spend the time reinventing the wheel if the wheel's already there for you to use?
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
what I love about AI and using it in these manners we've been talking about. It is really taking something that's already been done and done well a lot of times and just bringing it to you for you to build on it.
Mm-hmm. And like I mentioned Bard earlier. One thing that I like about Bard is in a recent update, they're including images in their output.
Okay.
So like it's a Google product. So they're just using Google images and featuring them in their answers to your questions, which I think is cool. Like it's like ChatGPT. Bard was Google's response to ChatGPT. But what ChatGPT won't do is include images. It's just text. But Bard, you can type in a question like, let's say, what does the average church look like on the inside? And it's, just like ChatGPT, it'll spend some time thinking. But as it generates its text and its response, just like ChatGPT would, it also produces and includes images in the results, which I think is cool because that means that in some of your inquiries, especially if you're doing sermon research, it could also be giving you visual aids that you can factor into your sermon slides for the rest of your congregation to enjoy.
Love it.
So it's incorporating Google Images into this generative AI text-based thing.
Yeah.
Now the images are not generatively created by Google. These are just pulled from the internet, but it's still going to offer you some really good visual aids as you go along.
Very cool. And we're only scratching the surface of everything that we can do with AI in our ministries. To be able to communicate better with our church, to be able to manage our church better. This is a really exciting time. It's a little scary and it can be a little creepy, but as long as we stay within the proper parameters and always seek the Lord in everything we do, I think we can use these tools to really augment our ministries in a way that we just can't even begin to comprehend how cool it's going to be 5-10 years from now.
Absolutely. It's just going to grow just like Canva. I mean, Canva just released these updates. They've incorporated AI tools in the past. They're doing it again. They're going to keep doing it in the future. They're going to find new ways to make AI an aspect of what they offer to help users like us make really cool images.
Yeah.
And they'll help you as well. And that's kind of what we're promoting. It's just using AI as an assistant to all the work you're doing to streamline things, to simplify things, to save you time, save you a lot of mental energy so that you can do the actual work of loving people and discipling them and showing them the love of Christ.
Yeah. So is AI overhyped? Absolutely not. But don't use it to write your sermons or else Matt's going to come visit you.
I'm going to be real mad.
We hope you liked that video. Go ahead, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to hear more of our videos in the future as we come out with them. In our notes, we've got the video to our other video we did on ChatGPT. We even have a video that we did on Canva a while back, a whole live stream. Matt and I had a lot of fun recording that one. When we're not recording these kinds of videos here at ChurchTrac, we're building software to help equip your church to build the body of Christ. And if you're not using ChurchTrac yet, totally give us a look. I think you will find that it is pretty awesome. Well, that being said, see you later.